This is Money Talk Radio. I'm Ellis Martin. We're going to visit now with Patrick Elliott, the president and CEO of Forte Minerals, trading on the Canadian Securities Exchange under the symbol CUAU, and in the U.S. on the OTCQB as FOMNF. Forte is committed to maximizing shareholder value through acquiring, exploring, discovering, and developing copper and gold projects in Peru. The team is composed of dedicated and qualified professionals who have a combined 215 years of experience at exploration and mining in the Americas, and a combined 60 years of successfully managing public companies. This combination of expertise accelerates the extensive connections to projects and financing. Patrick, welcome to the program. It's great to visit with you today.
Thanks for having us.
Give our audience an overview of Forte Minerals, if you don't mind, operating in Peru.
We've been working in Peru for about 15 years. We were initially in Chile back in the early 2000s, and we wanted to be an underexplored copper gold belt that had tremendous mineral wealth, and Peru was the place to be. So we initially moved up there with a private project generator that's now had over 15 years of exploration, acquisition, and some of those properties, the best properties that company picked up, are now in Forte Minerals. So we're a copper gold explorer in Peru, and we've advanced these projects through drill permitting, and they're now ready to be drilled for the very first time.
It certainly took a while, but you've put that all together. And like you said, you're getting ready to drill for the very first time. Give us an overview of the projects involved here.
Predominantly copper gold porphyries and copper moly porphyries, and we also have a high sulfidation gold project that was just too good not to pick up. It's now permitted to be drilled. We're in the most prolific copper belt in the world. The country's number 2 in copper production and number 9 in gold production. So there's a lot of untapped resources in the country. Every major copper producer and gold producer and explorers in the country. And that's a real testament to the riches in Peru and also the future potential there.
Certainly, you wouldn't go through all the trouble and to explore, develop, and get permitted projects that couldn't be a mine someday, not in this environment when we desperately need copper.
No, you're exactly right there. And the real unique strategy with Forte is that we have this private project generator. Not many companies have a private project generator that's been working in the country for a decade and a half using a very novel targeting technique where we use satellite data in order to find alteration identification. And also we follow the downturns in the markets where we go and pick up projects that get dropped by the majors in tough times. And it's a true testament to our strategic foresight and the product of our unique exploration strategy.
Explain the aspect of this project generator business that you have that has handpicked these projects.
Well, exploration, it takes a long time to follow up and find sizable alteration anomalies that have the potential to be big mines. And we started this process back in 2008 with our project generator, and we took Forte public 2 years ago and handpicked the best copper gold projects out of that portfolio. So we're taking these projects through the drill permitting, and we're going to drill them with Forte for the first time. Now, to balance that exploration risk, that discovery risk, we've also have a historically discovered porphyry copper gold project called Don Gregorio. It was discovered in the mid-90s by Buenaventura, and it has phenomenal economic grades of copper and gold. So we've taken a discovery risk away for the shareholders of Forte and balanced that portfolio. We've also been working very hard on business development to make new acquisitions.
I understand from reviewing your website that your team is quite experienced with collectively about 225 years of experience. Let's talk about your team. I think that's really important, management.
We believe we have the premier exploration team in Peru, led by Manuel Montoyo, who spent over 30 years with Teck Resources, and Richard Osman, formerly from Anglo, geophysicist, geologist, Tom Hendrickson, who made over 4 discoveries in Peru. I mentioned Manuel Montoyo. He was one of the leaders of Zafranal, which is now one of Teck Resources' go-ahead development projects. It's a porphyry copper moly. There's tremendous amount of discovery history in our team. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're just sticking with our model and move projects forward and preparing that pipeline for the majors. There's a serious need of near-term copper and gold resources in the world, and we're building that pipeline for the majors and trying to develop resources for them.
Responsible mining and ESG is a common topic of discussion these days, and the agnostic listener, those folks that are not necessarily mining specific, but are perhaps interested in it, might wonder what companies such as yours are doing to protect the environment, the area, the local communities that they're operating in. Can we speak to that?
Yeah, ESG is become more and more prevalent, and it's not mandatory for junior exploration companies to have an ESG reporting, but we felt that it needed attention, and we've been operating there for many years, and we found that we were already in line with a lot of the 21-point criteria of the ESG mandate. And so putting that report together was fairly seamless and efficient. But what it also did is it identified areas that we could have improvement in. Community engagement, involvement, and support and the environmental stewardship is very important in Peru. Like I mentioned, it's an incredible place to find minerals. It's very well endowed with gold, copper, zinc, silver. Equally as important is working with the stakeholders in the community and having that environmental aspect. So we focus a lot on that. We brought our social and environmental team in-house, which not many companies do of our size, but we felt that was more important, and we had so much success doing that.
Patrick, I've come out and stated on this program publicly that I absolutely believe copper will hit $5 within the next 12 to 16 months.
No, that's exactly right. The current copper mines are seeing a drop in output or quality globally. And this is sharpening that imbalance between supply and demand. So there's a pressing need for new projects, and there's a noticeable lack in the pipeline. And this strategically puts Forte in an advantage to be able to supply economic projects of gold and copper, predominantly porphyry copper projects, to the mid-tiers and the major gold producers. We're seeing the major producers and explorers looking earlier for the first time. They're coming and looking at exploration projects at an earlier stage so that they can advance and fill their production profiles for the future. We're zoning in on this inflection point of supply demand. We expect sometime in 2025 to see that, and that's going to put a lot of upward pressure on the copper price.
Patrick, thank you so much for visiting with me today. I look forward to another discussion with you in the very near future.
Thanks very much for having us.
I've been speaking with Patrick Elliott, President and CEO of Forte Minerals, trading on the Canadian Securities Exchange under the symbol CUAU, and in the U.S. on the OTCQB as FOMNF. Head to the company's website, forteminerals.com. I'm Ellis Martin, and this is South Florida's Money Talk Radio.